What's up guys, macadii here. Now today I'm bringing you guys the GBA D-League Season 2 Week 4 battle against SupahGassy, coach of the New York Shelmets. Now if you are hyped for this battle guys, don't forget to hit the like button down below. I really would appreciate that. Now, what you can actually see on here is actually something's looking a little bit odd. My team is up here. Now what actually happened was my internet just threw a complete wobbly halfway through this, which was just really unfortunate, but we were able to recreate it on Showdown for the second half, so it's sort of a two-part battle, so to speak. I also apologise for the mess behind me. I'm currently in the middle of packing to go to Spain for a week, so that's going to be really nice. I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, jumping back to the battle, so what I've had to do is I've had to actually rip SupahGassy's battle video in sort of real time, and then create my own sort of replay version by sort of trimming out the bits where we decide to try and pick moves and stuff like that. So hopefully this is going to look okay, and hopefully you guys will appreciate it as well. But because you can't see what he's brought there, I'm actually going to run through it. So he decided to bring Reuniclus, Manaphy, Tornadus, Blissey, Garchomp, and then Mega Ampharos finally as well. So very scary. I wasn't too sure what he was going to lead with. I mean, the Tornadus could have been a sort of one thing he could have led with, but I did decide just to lead off with the Azelf, just because I thought that was probably my best lead here. So what we're going to do is just start the battle straight away. It should hopefully run like normal. If it doesn't, okay, so it's just starting now. Right, so I decided to lead off with the Azelf because I knew I could U-turn off everything. I outsped everything. Even if they were Scarfed outside of Scarfed Tornadus, but I very much doubted he decided to bring that. So, hopefully this is going to go okay. So I do decide to lead off with my Azelf, as he leads off with the Tornadus. Now, I was in a little bit of a predicament here. I wasn't too sure whether to go for a U-turn or not, but I decided just play it safe, go for U-turn, and we can find out what sort of set this guy is, because I really couldn't afford to Ice Punch, because I definitely wouldn't kill, and a U-turn from that, if that was attack invested, would be able to actually KO me, and it really wouldn't be worth it, because I hadn't got rocks up. He could just recover up the damage. Like, it just didn't make any sense. So I decided to go out to Nubis here, as he does reveal he's got the U-turn. That's going to do quite a fair amount to me, revealing to me he has attack investment, and also his Life Orb. So this means it's going to be a lot easier to take down on the offensive side, but a lot harder defensively to tackle. So I knew that was going to be a potential problem here. But he does decide to go out into his Mega Ampharos here. Now, I wanted to also scout and try and see what this sort of thing was. I knew I could take a Focus Blast fairly well, and if needs be, make a sort of an offensive switch from there. But he does end up Megaing up, which is good, because that's what you're meant to do that first turn. And Mega's up here, and I just decide to go for the Moonlight, just to scout what he's going to go for. And I do go for the Moonlight, so this reveals that I'm faster, so that's very interesting. I've got an idea. I know now it's not Agility Mega Ampharos, which is really nice to know, because that thing could cause us potential issues. Does go for the Volt Switch here, and that does a fair amount. So this looks to be a sort of more like sort of bulky offensive variant, which is really good to find out. Does go out into Mr. Shelmet, the Manaphy here, and now, as you guys know, we knew this thing does cause us some issues, so we had to try and think of a way to sort of play around this. So I couldn't really stay in and risk him tail glowing, so I decided to go out from Anubis, and I go out into Pharaoh. Now this Pharaoh is actually gen slightly wrong, which is why it's got the misspelled name, and he does reveal he's going to go for a Rain Dance here. So this looks to be potentially sort of more bulky offensive with Rain. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to take him out, so I decided to just click Volt Switch here. Even if that brings in Garchomp, I can then go out into my Hippowdon and set up rocks, but does decide to go out into his Mega Ampharos, as I'm just going to Mega up here, get my Mega off, which is going to be really nice, because that means I now guarantee to outspeed that Tornadus as well, which makes quite a bit of difference. So I do get the Intimidate off as well, not that it's going to make too much difference, and I do just go for Volt Switch here, which is really nice. Get a little bit of damage off there, and this means I can actually put the offensive pressure on. I knew a EQ from Motomoto would be doing a lot, and I'm also Mixed Wool, so I can take Dragon Pulses fairly well, like not massively well, but enough where I could set up Stealth Rocks and Earthquake and get a good amount of damage on that. And this is, as alongside Garchomp, is his only real switch in for things like for my Volt Switches. So I do decide to go for the Stealth Rocks here, because this means they're now up for good, because he did not bring the Latios. So that's absolutely great. And any switches, especially Tornadus is going to get worn down really quickly, which is really nice. I do make the offensive play and go out into this. I knew a Scald was coming, I was prepared for that, but I had to take this risk because, first of all, I needed Moto. Secondly, X-Wing didn't really do much. It couldn't really touch Rudicrus. Destroyed by Blissey. The only thing it really handled was the Tornadus. And potentially the Garchomp if it was offensive. But then if it was Scarf Chomp, I couldn't. So I just wanted some damage off this. This allowed me to bring it within Volt Switch range. I could actually then scout to see what's the set. And this revealed to me that I was defensive. So I know I did sacrifice my Crobat, but I gained a lot of information from that. And that's really nice to actually get that sort of information. Especially when I couldn't really see it doing massive amounts more. So I do go into Pharaoh here. Decide to go for the more offensive play. So here, he decides to go out, if I remember right, he decides to go out into his Garchomp, predicting the Volt Switch, which is fair enough. But I wanted to also see what sort of set this was, because if this was Scarf Chomp, the lack of item would show me with rocks, and it does reveal here that he is leftover. So I was like, right, this may be physically defensive. I need to watch out for that, because it could cause me some issues. HP Ice will not KO, so I decided to go straight out into Moto here. As he does just go for an EQ. Oh no, he does actually, no, pulls a very good double. He does pull a very good double and goes out into his Blissey here. Now, at this point, I wanted to see, does this Blissey have T-Wave? Because this is my main thing that I could set up my Tyrantrum on. And if it revealed Toxic, which it did do there, that means it's unlikely to have Toxic and Thunder Wave, which makes so much difference. I know I did have to take a Toxic on it, but it was definitely worth doing that just to scout and find out what his status move is, because he wouldn't have gone for T-Wave. If he had just switched out straight away or something like that, it would show he might not have the Toxic, which means the T-Wave could be coming later on for my Tyrantrum. So that was really, really worth doing. So I'm out into Anubis now. As he does get a Wish Up, I know straight away he's going to be going out into his his Manaphy. So I pull an offensive double here, and I go out into Pharaoh, because I can then get another Volt Switch off. Absolutely fine. Get the Intimidate drop there, as he ends up going out, and I do actually predict the double correctly, as he goes out into the Manaphy here, and obviously is going to be able to get all his HP back from Rocks, after Rocks, and all his prior damage as well, which is unfortunate, but a Volt Switch will be doing a lot to this guy, and really sort of put the pressure on there. So he has to try and decide what to do. Is he going to stay in and try and go for Scald, or is he going to go out into the Garchomp? I wanted to play it safe and go for that Volt Switch just in case, because I really couldn't afford to go and get Scald burn on this, as he does go out into the Chansey. Now, the events leading up to this next bit was just, I think it's this bit, maybe it's a little bit later. There's one point where I do go for the Volt Switch here, and I realised at this point, I can actually sweep with Dr. Grant. For some reason, I must have missed a little bit there. But I do go for Dragon Dance here, because I knew I could set up. Now, this bit was a big, big mistake. He goes for the Wish here. Now, I calced it. A Dragon Claw at +1 wouldn't KO this guy. So I decided to click Head Smash here, predicting him to stay in. That was definitely not the play to make, because as you can see, he actually does end up switching out here and goes out into his Garchomp now. Now, if I'd have Dragon Danced again, a Dragon Claw was a guaranteed KO, which would have been absolutely fine. And I pretty much could have I could have swept the team from there, because I really couldn't afford to, because of I was worried about Toxics and things like that. So I felt I had to really go for an offensive move there. But as I said, it does force me out, because I just about I think I have a 12% chance to OHKO fully physically defensive. I had no idea what this set was in terms of its actual defenses, so it was really, really difficult for me. I had to try and preserve it. I definitely misplayed there, playing far too safe. I should have gone for another Dragon Dance there, and I do. I played it far too safe for that one. So I do go for the Whirlwind here. As he does set up his Rocks, I probably should have got some damage off with the EQ, he does a Whirlwind out into Manaphy, but I was hoping it might Whirlwind out into the Tornadus or something like that, just to get some Rocks, and then potentially some more Life Orb damage and things like that. But unfortunately, he does go out into the Manaphy here, as I need to now decide what to do, because this thing does cause me a few problems. And what I now do is I decide to actually withdraw Moto because I need this to make sure I can handle Garchomp fairly well. And I decide to go into Anubis because I knew I could take Scalds if he burns me and stuff like that. It's not that bad. I'm able to heal Bell those up. It does go for the Scald here. And that does a fair amount. So but it's still definitely looking along the sort of defensive lines here. I was anticipating possibly him setting up the Rain Dance here. So I decided to make another offensive switch here. And I go out into my Mega Manectric here, if I remember rightly. But yeah, this Manaphy was definitely putting a lot of pressure on me. As I said, I had pretty much nothing in my draft that was able to switch in and handle this and sort of take unboosted schools, but then also be able to do a lot. But he does decide to go for Rain Dance here, which is absolutely great. Getting the Rain Dance means that I can actually... I brought this guy in for free, and I can fire off another Volt Switch, which I've decided to do at this point. And he definitely takes a while to decide what to do, but I do end up going for that Volt Switch, which is going to do a really good chunk of damage to that guy. And I do go out, and at this point I decide to make a little bit of a risky play. Now, at this point I was actually looking at it and saying, actually, my Azelf might end up causing me more problems than I really want. So what I decided to do here is actually send out Azelf. I knew I could take a Rain Boosted Scald from a defensive Manaphy, so and I just wanted to try and get some damage off on this guy, or at least force him out into something like his physically defensive Garchomp, so he would try and get some damage off on that, because if I could weaken the Garchomp down to a point where HP Ice could KO, it made my life 1,000 times easier. So he does end up switching out and goes out into Garchomp, which is what I wanted him to do, and I do decide to go for the Zen Headbutt here, and this actually does a fair amount of damage. I was quite surprised by that, considering I'm Scarfed, but 2 sets of Rough Skin will end up taking me out after this, but I am able to get another Zen Headbutt for here as well, which is really, really nice. But Mirage, unfortunately, will be going down here. Didn't really do a huge amount, but it did bring this down to a HP Ice range, which actually is really, really valuable for my team, because this is the last thing that can take, yeah, it can take Volt Switches and stuff like that, but now it's down to a HP Ice range, so I can put a lot more pressure on this guy. So it does go for the EQ here, and this means I can actually go out and make the offensive play and go out into my Manectric here, because now I can fire off a HP Ice. His Manaphy is now at a point where he can't send that in to take the HP Ice, because I'm going to do a lot to that with a Thunderbolt after, and pretty much guaranteed Oko from there. So I do get the Intimidate drop here, and I've got him just where I want him to be. So I know I have sacrificed a couple of Pokemon to try and do this, but as I said, it's almost just cutting the fat of the team. They allow me to scout, and they allow me to bring this thing down to HP Ice range, and that was a lot more valuable than it was sacrificing something else or playing that little bit safer. At least that's how I felt. So the rain does stop here as well, which is nice, because that means the Manaphy's got to then try and set up the rain again to actually put some pressure on me. But does go out into the Ampharos here. Now, I'm anticipating a Volt Switch here, so I decide to go for a Volt Switch of my own. Just because there's no harm in clicking Volt Switch, because as I said, I outspeed everything on his draft. So I do go for the Volt Switch here, as he does decide to stay in, and I was anticipating the Volt Switch here. So also now that the Garchomp was out of the way, Moto was slightly less valuable to me. So I figured, let's go into Moto. We can definitely sort of absorb that Volt Switch. If we do have to take a Dragon Pulse, so be it. There's not much we can really do about that, but it does then mean we have other ways to handle this. I did also realise after that this is probably my #1 way of taking this guy out, so it probably wasn't worth sacking this off too early, but it does pay off in the end actually, because I did calculate I could take a Dragon Pulse after the Toxic as well, so he does outspeed as well, which was interesting to see. So I do go for the EQ here, and that was, I anticipated that to take it down to range, but I do actually get a critical hit there, which means this thing's out of the way. So now he's got no Volt Switch answers at all, which is really, really nice. So I do recover up here with my leftovers, but Poison is going to be able to take me down here. So my next switch, I go straight out into my Manectric, because as I said, it puts the most pressure on him, and I can do a lot to his team. Like a serious amount, but he does go on to the Reuniclus, and now this was the moment of truth. What set was this Reuniclus? Because, as I said, if it was Trick Room, I might be in a spot of bother, but I do get the Intimidate off, which is really, really nice. Well, no, actually, no, not that nice, but I don't know what I'm saying there. But anyway, from here, we actually get there, and unfortunately, we DC at that point, which is really, really sad because it was getting to the point where it was getting really interesting. So what we're going to do is we actually recreated and got all the teams, got all the rocks and everything like that. We didn't do turn for turn recreate. We just got everything down to the roughly the sort of HP it was at the start at that point in the battle. So what we're going to do is actually hop straight over to Showdown to actually finish the battle off. Okay, so what we actually did then was actually recreate the battle in Showdown. We set up rocks on each side, had the HP at approximately where it was before. There may have been a sort of 1 or 2 different changes, but it was really hard to actually try and recreate the battle from there. But as I said, we just tried to get it as accurate as possible so we could actually finish this off. So as you can see, I'm out here with my Mega Manectric, as he's in with Reuniclus here. So what I decided to do is I just go for Volt Switch here. Does a fair amount of damage. This shows its HP invested, which they normally are. But I go out to Anubis here. He shows his Trick Room offensive, which I was very, very worried about. Goes to the Focus Blast and misses. I do go for Moonlight here because I have to stall out this guy. And as you can see, that really, really punishes me. But after Moonlight and Leftovers, I'm absolutely fine. So I just need to stall him out of a few turns of this. And then what that means is I can actually put some more pressure on him. It does go on to Manaphy here. So Foul Play does an okay amount of damage, but really, really not enough. So I do make an offensive play and go out into Pharaoh just to see what he decides to do. As I do end up taking a Scald, I knew I could take those fairly well, especially with this being defensive. And this means I can go for a Volt Switch, and that's the Manaphy out the way, which is really, really nice. And I do go back out into Anubis here, because this Anubis handles pretty much everything. Does go out into Tornadus here, and it fires off a U-turn here, and goes out into the Blissey. I had to go for the Foul Play there, just in case he decides to go for something else. And see what he would go for there. So I do go out into Dr. Grant here, making a bit of an offensive play as he makes another offensive switch and goes out into Tornadus. Excellent play on his part. So I'm forced out into Anubis here because I don't know if this guy's got superpower or not. As he goes for the U-turn there, that's absolutely fine because I can outspeed everything else. So that's really, really nice. So what I decide to do here is I decide to go for a Moonlight, and he does go back out into the Tornadus. So I knew I could then take a U-turn from there, and also I'm slightly out of superpower range, which is really, really nice. So it goes out now into the Blissey. Now at this point here, I probably should have played it safe and recovered. But yeah, this was definitely a mistake on my part, because this now meant that if the Reuniclus came in and set Trick Room up, I wouldn't be able to take a Focus Blast, which was definitely a mistake that may cause me problems. This was also a little bit of a tricky one, because if I decide to go for Dragon Dance at that point, and he decided to Seismic Toss or Toxic me or something like that, I'm going to start running out of, I will probably end up running out of HP before I could sweep. I did the calculations on that, and it was looking pretty likely, as I said, alongside Life Orb Recoil. And I needed to make sure I could take out that Blissey, because I thought that the combination of the rest, at least I think that the combination of the rest of these, with my Manectric and also my Umbreon, it would have been okay. But as you can see, he does go into Tornadus. This was really, really intense last game thing. So he does go for superpower here. Now, I did have to make a decision here whether to go for the offensive play. I do go out into Pharaoh here because I did want to try and take out this Tornadus. But I do go for the Thunderbolt here. But as you can see, actually, this does mean that the Reuniclus can come in. I go for the T-Bolt, and he is going to be able to set up Trick Room here. Probably not the right way for me to have handled this, but there wasn't much I could do. I had to try and stall out these Trick Room turns. So, and he does connect the Focus Blast there, which is unfortunate, and is able to take me out then with a Psychic on Pharaoh as well. So really, really unfortunate turn of events, but as I said, they were really, really hard to know. Loads and loads of really tricky calls to go for there, and unfortunately we do lose this one, which is upsetting, I must admit. I definitely made a couple of really, really stupid mistakes, but the trouble was, in hindsight, it's very, very easy to look back on these. Maybe the way I handled it late game was slightly wrong, I must admit. But certainly going for that second Dragon Dance with Dr. Grant near the start, it was really, really risky. Because I knew after Rocks I had a very, very good chance to be able to take out that Garchomp, because it literally just pipped it. But being able to get that extra 6% from the Wish, I guess Leftovers as well. Actually, no, because he would still switch it in and then I would KO the next turn. So yeah, even Leftovers wouldn't make any difference. But yeah, absolutely fantastic battle. Really, really great battle. But just hit me at the end. I knew the Reuniclus was going to be a problem, which is why I prepped for it so hard, but even then, with everything else, it was a real struggle. But, yeah, there was a couple of moments where I had a good chance to win, but I just... Anyway, as I said, hindsight is always really, really useful to have. But, really, really, really good battle. And it was unfortunate that we did have to finish it on Showdown, because it did cause a lot of sort of flustering. I had to then try and recreate my internet and get it all back together again, because I couldn't even talk to them then. But anyway, I do apologise for the loss for this one, guys. Really, really unfortunate. I'm going to really, really try my hardest to pull this back, because 2-2 is... It's okay. It places me more towards the middle now, and it's definitely going to have impacts with me in the power rankings, which is a real shame. But yeah, definitely going to be trying my hardest to make sure that I can get it to playoffs. It's not out of the question at the minute. I just need to make sure that I prep as hard as I can for the next set of battles. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the battle, and as I said, if you did enjoy it, do leave a like as well, and also go and congratulate Gassy as well, because that was an absolutely fantastic battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I shall see you guys later. Caddy out.